December 1900. 20 miles west of Lewis, a lighthouse stands alone on a barren rock called Eilean Mòr. 3 men keep its light. Tonight, the light is dark. A steamer passes in the black hours and sees something wrong. No beams sweeping the water. Just the shape of a tower, the sea, and silence where a light should be. The Flannan Isles are barely islands. Cliffs, rising straight out of the Atlantic. No harbor, no beach. You climb to them from a heaving boat, or you don't reach them at all. Eilean Mòr is the largest. A green hump of rock, slick with spray, loud with seabirds. The kind of place that feels like the very edge of the world. 3 keepers manned the light: James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur, the occasional keeper filling in. The tower had first been lit only a year before, in December 1899. These were experienced men. They knew the sea, knew the routines, knew exactly how dangerous this rock could be. They did not frighten easily. A 4th keeper was always ashore, resting between shifts. That rotation is the only reason a 4th man didn't vanish along with the others. On the island's west side, the cliff splits into a narrow inlet called a geo, a deep stone throat where the Atlantic rushes in and slams against the rock. At the end of the geo is a cave. When the sea drives into it, the water has nowhere to go but up, bursting out in a column of white that drenches everything above. Supplies came only when the sea allowed. Food, oil, letters from home. Between reliefs, the rock and its keepers were entirely alone with the Atlantic. On the 15th of December, a steamer called the Archtour passed in poor weather, bound from Philadelphia to Leith. Her crew logged that the Flannan light was not burning. A dark lighthouse is more than an inconvenience. It's a hole in the map. A safe point gone missing in the middle of very dangerous water. But the Archtour's report didn't reach the northern lighthouse fort until she docked on the 18th of December. 3 days had already slipped past, and the weather would not let anyone near the island. The relief vessel, the Hesperus, sat in harbor while the sea threw itself at the coast for days. The Hesperus couldn't sail on the 20th. She tried again and again. She didn't reach Eilean Mòr until the 26th of December. Relief keeper Joseph Moore had served on this rock with these men. He knew their voices, their footsteps on the iron stairs. He climbed expecting them, and met only the wind. The flag wasn't flying. No one came down to meet the boat. No one answered the whistle blasts that carried up the cliff. The gate was shut. The main door was shut. Moore opened them and stepped into the keeper's quarters, calling out names that no one returned. Inside, he found the beds unmade and the clock stopped. The kitchen was quiet. 3 men who lived on this rock together were simply not there. Whisper, he went room to room. No struggle, no mess, no bodies, just the ordinary objects of 3 ordinary lives, left mid-sentence. On the table, the everyday things just sat there. No sign anyone meant to leave for good. As if the men had stepped out for a moment that never ended. The lamps had been cleaned and refilled, ready for the night. And on its peg, 1 set of oilskins still hung. 1 keeper had gone out without his weather gear. Think about that. On a rock like this in December, you do not step outside without your oilskins, not unless you mean to come right back. 2 sets of weather gear gone, 1 still hanging. As if 1 man ran out into the storm with no time to dress for it. This is the part that stays with you, not chaos. Order, almost everything in its place. The light maintained, the work done, the doors closed behind them. Moore would later say the kitchen utensils were all very clean, a sign the men had left some time after dinner. Not, as the legend claims, mid-meal. So forget the story of the overturned chair and the meal abandoned on the table. That came later, from people who never stood in that kitchen. The truth is quieter, and somehow worse. The men finished their work. They tidied up. They closed the doors. And then they walked out of history, Down at the west landing, the search found violence of a different kind. A supply box, stored over 100 feet above the sea, smashed to pieces. Iron railings were bent and twisted. A rock weighing more than a ton had been shifted from its place. Turf was torn away 30 feet from a cliff edge. The east landing stood untouched. Whatever took the men happened on the west side, where the sea had climbed the cliff like something alive. That's the signature of an enormous sea. Water reaching far higher than anyone thought it could. The ocean had come up the cliff and clawed at the island, and somewhere in that, 3 men, securing a crane perhaps, lashing down equipment before the storm. Doing the careful, dangerous work the job demanded, the Hesperus captain, Jim Harvey, sent a telegram that day. "A dreadful accident has happened at the Flannans," he wrote. "The 3 keepers have disappeared from the island, blown over the cliffs," he guessed, "or drowned trying to secure a crane." The captain's first instinct, written in the shock of an empty lighthouse. The 15th of December was the last day anyone knew the keepers were alive and working. After that, the record simply goes dark, along with the light. An official investigation followed. Superintendent Robert Muirhead came out to the rock to walk the ground and read what the island would tell him. He learned the men's last logged work. He saw the smashed box, the moved stone, the torn earth. And he reached a conclusion that still holds today. Muirhead believed all 3 had gone down to the west landing to secure equipment and that the sea had taken them while they worked. Whisper. An unexpectedly large roller, he wrote, had come up on the island, and coming down upon them, swept them away with resistless force. It explains the missing oilskins. MacArthur may have seen the wave coming for the others and bolted out to help, no time to dress. It explains the closed doors, the finished chores, the absence of any struggle inside. The danger never came into the lighthouse. It weighted down at the water. Search parties combed every foot of the island. They found the wreckage at the west landing and nothing more. No clothing, no bodies, no sign washed up on the rocks. But a wave leaves no body it can be blamed for. No proof. Only damage and silence. And 3 names that never appear again. So other theories grew in the gap. A fight near the cliff edge, ending with all 3 over the side. The sea as witness, keeping its secrets. MacArthur, the occasional keeper, was remembered as quick-tempered. Fuel for the fight on the cliffs theory. But not one piece of evidence ever supported it. Some said 1 man was swept away and the other 2 died trying to reach him. A chain of rescue, each death pulling the next over the edge. And then there are the famous diary entries, keepers weeping, praying, recording a storm of terrible severity. Researcher Mike Dash showed those entries were invented later. Pure fiction. There was no record of a keeper crying. No prayer scrawled in a logbook. Someone added those details for effect, and the world believed them. Worse for those entries, no severe storms were even recorded in the area on the 12th through the 14th of December. The weather that swallowed the men likely came after. The very seas that smashed the landing also kept the rescuers away for 11 long days. Strip away the fakes, and you're left with folklore. Sea serpents. Foreign kidnappers. The old island legend of a phantom haunting the 7 hunters. None of it explains anything, but all of it grows in the same dark soil. An empty room, and no one left to ask. Us. Here's what I keep returning to. The wave theory is almost certainly right, and that's the most unsettling answer of all. No monster, no murder, just ordinary water on an ordinary winter day, erasing 3 careful men between one task and the next. 3 families on the mainland waited for men who never came home. No funerals, no graves, only an empty light and the sound of the sea. If the story pulls at you, try something. Separate the record from the romance. Hold the stopped clock and the hanging oilskins. Let the crying ghosts go. Because the documented facts are stranger than any invention, a lighthouse maintained to the last. Doors closed by hands that never came back inside. A lighthouse exists to keep others alive. For days this one failed, dark over dangerous water, because the men who fed its flame were gone. The tower kept working without them. Automated in 1971, it still throws its beam across that water tonight, over the geo that took them. No one lives on Eilean Mòr now. The birds have it. The light is a machine. And the West Landing still fills and empties with every tide. If you ever follow Scotland's lighthouse heritage, the old shore station at Braesclet is being restored into exhibition space, a place to stand closer to the story. Picture them one more time. 3 men in a stone tower at the edge of the Atlantic, going about their evening, the lamps already cleaned for the night. One of them looks out toward the landing, sees something in the dark water, says a word the others half hear, and the work of the night changes. 2 reach for their oilskins. The third doesn't wait. The door opens onto wind and spray, and the 3 of them go down the steps, and the lighthouse behind them holds its breath. The clock keeps ticking for a while. The beds stay unmade. The kettle goes cold. When the relief boat finally came, the tower had everything it needed except the men. A light cleaned and ready. A clock that had simply stopped. 1 set of oilskins, still on its peg. We don't know which wave. We don't know which man went first. We only know the island kept the answer and the sea agreed to hold it. If these quiet hours keep you company, follow Night Shift stories so the next one finds you. Keep your light on tonight, and mind the water at the bottom of the steps.